Duranki is a Japanese manga series written and produced by Kentaro Miura, the same man that wrote and illustrated Berserk. Now, when the publishing studio Hakusensha announced that Duranki was coming out in 2019, it sparked a lot of controversy in the manga community, especially with Berserk fans, because a lot of people were thinking to themselves, how can Miura produce two different manga at the same time when the release schedule for Berserk is already so slow as it is? However, Kentaro Miura provided clarification in an interview to make sure that fans were aware that Duranki was not his primary focus. He was the quote-unquote director. He created the storyboards, but he allowed the illustrations and the drawing to be done by the assistants at Studio Gaga. In addition, Kentaro Miura admitted during the interview that he'd always wanted to do a series based on mythology, mostly due to how much he loved such manga as Saint Seiya, Orion, and Triton of the Sea in his youth. He'd also always been fascinated by the aesthetic of the myths of ancient Greece and Mesopotamia, sometimes called Asian Minor, particularly when it comes to gender and body image, hence why Duranki follows a genderless protagonist who travels throughout mythological landscapes that draw from real-life myths and Miura's own imagination. But with that introduction out of the way, guys, let's get into the meat of the story and explore the world that is Duranki. Imparting an old myth from ancient times, humanity wrought of clay by divine hands. A child is conceived by godlike creatures. Though the child is lovely, it is also fearsome and blessed with wit. The child was created using sacred waters, the last of the god's seed, as it were. The child is not divine, nor human, not man, nor woman. This child stands alone in the chasm between heaven and earth. The serpent god bestows the child with a keepsake that has long since vanished from the human realm. Usumgallu is the child's bestowed name. Usum meaning the only, and Galu meaning the great. Together, it means dragon. The patron of thieves, most likely Hermes, is tasked with taking Usumgallu to the sacred place, the Ark at the summit. Blessings upon the dragon, soaring through the sky. An elderly couple find the child, to their surprise. They wonder how someone trespassed on Mount Nasirs without the assent of the gods. They notice the talisman on the baby, revealing his/her name as Usumgallu. This is truly an act of the gods. Years later, Usumgallu herds sheep in the fields with Fuwawa. Pan's flute playing distracts the sheep, upsetting Usum. Usum then wrangles Pan with her lasso. Usum then jokes that she'll sacrifice Pan to the god of farms and fields, which is Pan's prerogative. The old man notices the stirrups that Usum has made. Usum and Pan then go to fetch some water for Grandma. Pan finds a toy ark that Usum made in her free time. "It moves," shouts Pan. Usum claims it's a simple mechanism. Usum then wants Pan's help, and as a thanks, she'll sacrifice some cheese to him. The two build a water mill, which allows them to access the stream, preventing the constant need to fetch water. The pseudo family then prepares for a feast. Pan then wonders if Usum is a boy or a girl, since he/she has breast and a penis. "Am I strange?" asks Usum. "Yep."
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Nymphs begin frolicking in the fields. The grandpa notes that because of this, that summer is here. The nymphs are perplexed by Usumgallu, wondering what he/she is. The grandpa then kills an elk for winter. Usum doesn't possess the strength to use a bow, however. The grandfather reminds him/her that if he/she is to ever leave the mountains, he/she must be able to draw a bow. Grandfather grabs the kill as Usum stares up at a bird, possibly a hawk, in the sky. Some boys hunt down a wild boar with a bow and arrow. Kirta, the boy with the black, spiky hair, is shocked when an arrow goes through the pig's snout. Another arrow pierces the boar's eye. "Hey, you okay?" asks Usum. The boys stare on in shock as Usum notes that this is the first time that she has seen humans, besides Grandpa and Grandma. Pan walks in and asks Usum what's up. Pan recognizes the boys, noting that her grandpa sells wool to them. Usum then stares Kirta directly in the eye. Usum inspects Kirta's wound as the boy admires her fragrance. Usum applies a sulfur salve dissolved in butter. "I'm Kirta of Tasi village." Tayus, Sukri, and Tahip all introduce themselves. Kirta notes that Mount Nasir is sacred. He then takes a look at Usum's crossbow. The boys can't cock the bow with their arms, so Usum shows them how it's done with her foot. Usum demonstrates how to use the bow, as Kirta gets profoundly nervous in her presence. Kirta is shocked to hear that Usum made this on her own. Kirta then asks Usum if she can make more crossbows to make their hunts easier. Okay, I'll do it. Usum allows Kirta and the others to keep the boar, since her and Pan can't carry it back on their own. The group offers the pig's head as a sacrifice to the god of bountiful harvest. They will reconvene in 60 days in front of the god's throne. Sakuri mentions Artemis, the goddess of hunt in the west. He floats the idea that Usum may be the avatar of Artemis. Tayus argues that Usum is a guy, but Sakuri disagrees. Doesn't matter to me, they're making us the crossbows. Boy, girl, god, or whatever they may be. Usum is glad that the boys were happy. Her and Pan look for more game as they see that their offering was received. Usum tells Grandpa about the 4 boys as she makes crossbows for each one of them. Grandpa warns Usum not to talk about her body. If Usum forms a strong bond with someone though, she can cross that bridge if need be. The grandparents go to bed as the voluptuous Hearth Lady bursts up from the fire. While Usum sleeps, the Hearth Lady senses a godliness, a god well known at that. Usum presents the 4 crossbows to the boys. Tahip has a special crossbow that allows them to fire 5 arrows at once. The boys practice with their new bows. The boys promise their first kill to Usum as a thanks for her work. Tahip gets a deer, making it the first kill of the season. The dogs begin to growl, however, noticing a pack of wolves staring them down. Pan looks to subdue the wolves with his flute, but he can't catch his breath. With no path for escape, Usumgallu offers up the blood of the deer as a sacrifice to the god of waterfalls. The god reveals a small opening. Usum urges them to use it for their escape. Usumgallu! Just who are you? Thinks Kirta. Pan turns into a goat/mermaid to escape. He thusly claims he's a sea god. Wolves are wary of things that humans have touched, and will only eat the food that they kill themselves. Usum suggests that they ambush the wolves. The boys henceforth shoot the wolves as they file out. Usum grabs a burning branch to scare the wolves. They build the fire to keep the wolves at bay, as Kirta continues to be amazed by Usum's talents. Because Usum has blood on her, the wolves continue tracking them down. We'll let them chase us. We can get out of this, claims Usum. The wolves encounter a hot mud spring of sorts. They sniff the clothing as Usum and the boys emerge from the mud with crossbows in hand. The onslaught begins. The dogs block the wolves' escape as the children continue firing away. One of the wolves bites down on Usum's crossbow. Kirta lunges onto the wolf's back and slices its neck open. The remaining wolves scurry away in fear. We did it! Yells Kirta. The boys begin frolicking in the mud, with Pan joining in the action. Usum and the boys clean up in the Clearwater hot spring. Usum often comes here for sulfur, and because of this, she knew the wolves wouldn't be able to smell them in the mud. Kirta admires Usum once more, but Usum claims they survived because they joined forces, and because they had God's protection. The boys tell Usum to join them, but she remembers grandfather's advice and wonders if it's okay. Usum wraps up her breast, claiming that a wolf scratched her. Kirta invites Usum to their village, and the godlike human relishes her opportunity to visit the human world for the first time. Usum is blown away by the sheer number of nymphs in the area. Kirta clutches onto her, telling her to be careful. Due to an earthquake changing the course of a river, the village's fields are malnourished and barren. They arrive at the hidden village of Tasi, Kirta's home. One of the archers refers to Kirta as a young lord, surprising Usum. Inside, Usum is shocked by the flock of people. Sakuri calls Kirta a prince, and himself a royal guard member, as he gloats over the kill. He regales the townspeople with his heroic deeds in killing the wolves. Kirta's chaperone and the older boys' dads greet them. Yet Sakuri's dad assaults his son for foolish behavior. The other 2 dads consult with their sons, but Kirta bears the blame. Kirta's chaperone explains that the retainers take the blame for the king. Usum then stares at Kirta, wondering if he's a prince or a king. Lord Kwanzas recognizes Kirta's talent, however, and praises his efforts. Kirta extols Usum's cleverness. The retainers are surprised that she comes from Mount Nasir, the resting place of the Ark of Legend. Kirta wants to report to his mother. He grabs Usum by the hand and takes her with him. Pan notices how popular Kirta is due to being the king. Yet Kirta claims that he's no king. Not yet, at least. Kirta returns to his mother's side. She inquires about the hunt and states she can't eat the meat of beast. Kirta tells his mom about the wolves, as Usumgalu and Pan introduce themselves. Kirta's mother hugs Usum, Pan, and Fawawa to Kirta's embarrassment. Kirta's mom acknowledges Usum's talents and implores her to continue getting along with her son. Usum likes Kirta's mom. The boy takes Usum to his room, which is covered with sea creature artwork. Kirta has never seen these creatures, but he really likes them. They mimic the creatures of Crete. Blue is an expensive pigment, however, so the dolphins are colored red.
But you seemed so happy in the ocean. All that playful leaping.
We were trying to get out.
Kirta mentions the Masoans, the Achaeans, and the Phoenicians, all people who sailed across the oceans with ships. The sea? The edge of the world? That's incredible! I want to see it too.
They're doing the exact same thing to Flat Earth that they do to 9/11, JFK, Iran-Contra. They got people producing debunking video.
Kirta shows Usum a chest of seashells, which amazes the demigod. Kirta tells Usum to take the shells, and to consider a payment for the crossbows. The boys tell Kirta and Usum about the feast. The group parties under the moonlight. Kirta pulls Usum up on the center stage, and she dances along with the boys, with pure excitement and joy. Grandma hands Usum some cheese and encourages her to share it with everyone. Grandma worries about Usum, but grandfather reassures her it's part of growing up. Plus, she has divine protection. Meanwhile, Usum and the boys battle against an adult bear. This crossbow smashed through a boar's skull. It can take down a bear. Afterwards, Kirta and the others take the bear carcass back to the village. Usum marvels at the craftsman sculpting various works of art. The craftsman recognizes Usum's own talent in creating new tools. He then hands Kirta a new sword. Kirta explains that swords are a tool of war and are used to kill. Kirta's chaperone reminds him that the hour is near. Kirta enters a chariot, practicing his battle skills against one of the retainers. Usum's never seen a horse before, as she wonders what war entails. It's a Hurrian tradition to drive horses. Kirta practices swordplay with one of the retainers. The prince gets knocked back with a blunted blade, worrying Usum. Usum overhears some elderly gentlemen talking about regaining the capital when Kirta becomes of age. Usum stares at the practicing soldiers with a look of awe and intrigue. Kirta bemoans his weak display of combat, but Usum gives him encouragement nonetheless. The two return to Kirta's mother as Pan plays the flute. Kirta attempts to mask his pain from training, but he eventually passes out. Usum offers medicine. The mother gently rubs it on her son, wishing that he wouldn't be influenced by the anger and hopelessness of his people. Usum gives her grandma a back rub as she asks Grandpa about war. The grandfather has seen war firsthand, labeling it abominable and repulsive. Human horror in a beautiful world. Grandpa explains that the strong trample the weak, and the weak envy the strong. Such is the evil in men's hearts. The people of Tasi village are descended from refugees, fleeing from such battles, hence their regret and resentment. Grandpa warns Usum not to get tied into Tasi's fate, lest she wants to carry a needlessly heavy burden. Usum mixes up more healing ointment. The salt pepper mixes into the ash, causing the goddess of hearth to sneeze. Usum enters Tasi village. A scream comes from a small, cave-like opening. Usum, Pan, and Fawawa go inside. Usum's necklace glows and emits a ringing sound. The deeper we go, the more chills run down my spine. No, we shouldn't. Pan recognizes it as a beast of legend, a mix of lion and scorpion, a manticore. The arrow has no effect on the manticore. The beast ferociously lunges towards Usumgallu. She manages to pierce the beast's gums with her arrow. Are you okay? Usum instructs Pan and Fawawa to take care of them as she prepares for the next attack. Usum's nerves get the best of her though, causing her body to shake uncontrollably. She fires the arrow, but the beast chomps it down. The beast tears her shirt, revealing the necklace. However, the manticore hesitates in its presence, demonstrating a certain level of respect. Pan subdues it with his flute, but the manticore snaps out of it and resumes its ferocious demeanor. Before it goes berserk and kills Usumgallu, a sword pierces down through its cranium, thanks to the efforts of Kirta. Now I thought it would be constructive to go over some of the mythological elements in the series, because it was so important for Miura to put them in here, and I feel like they have great relevance to the story as well. Now the first one I want to discuss is Hermes. He shows up in chapter 1, and he's the father of Usumgallu. He has the winged boots, Caduceus staff, and is the patron of thieves, which all lines up with Greek mythology. He also moves quickly and freely between the mortal and divine realms. Now the naked woman is Aphrodite, which isn't too surprising. Aside from her beauty, she mentions that Usumgallu resembles Hermaphroditus. Now in Greek mythology, Hermaphroditus' parents were Hermes and Aphrodite, which makes sense because the combination of their names makes Hermaphroditus. And this makes sense as well because Usumgallu is the second child of Aphrodite and Hermes, and their first child was androgynous, and so is he/she. Now the snake god here is a bit perplexing. I kind of narrowed it down to Apophis. Now Apophis was an Egyptian god who embodied chaos. He was often referred to as the serpent from the Nile or the evil dragon. And sources state that he stretched 16 yards in length, which if you look at the snake god in Miura's manga, it looks like he's rather large. Now aside from Apophis, serpents are universal symbols for eternity, renewal, death, and rebirth. The dragon is the mythological form of the snake. It guides you to the hidden treasure, or it guards the treasure. And the snake god in Duranki is helping out with the ritual of life for Usumgallu. He is giving the treasure in a way. And he is also hiding the treasure from Zeus and the other gods. So he's helping out gods, but he's also deceiving other gods. So you kind of see that interplay between opposites. Now the Chinese use the snake to symbolize the yin, i.e. the dark feminine energy. Conversely, they utilize the tiger to symbolize the yang, i.e. the heavenly male energy. So with the yin, we have the dragon, and with the yang, we have the tiger. Usumgallu, according to Akkadian mythology, is described as a lion-dragon demon. Now the tiger and lion are both powerful cats representing strength and individuality. Therefore, Usum is the yin and the yang, the male and the female, the divine and the mortal. Yet, at the same time, she's none of the above. Much like Jesus Christ, Usum stands alone in the chasm between heaven and earth. Carl Jung, Swiss psychologist, noted the Greeks' fascination with the hermaphrodite. It's seen as a joining together of two pieces of one whole. In Catholic mysticism, Jesus himself is portrayed as androgynous. The Apocryphon of John, or the Secret Book of John, which is a Gnostic Christian text, contains a phrase that goes as follows: "It is she who is prior to them all, the Mother Father, the first man, the Holy Spirit, the thrice male, the thrice powerful, the thrice named, androgynous one," referring to Jesus Christ. Now, Carl Jung's whole goal in life was to achieve individuation, combining the male and female spirits into one. For a man, you have an anima or a female spirit, and vice versa. Females have a male spirit. It doesn't mean you actually have a spirit, it just means that you psychologically have an opposite half. You have qualities within you that you need to embody to become whole. And throughout religions, the whole idea of symbolizing the androgynous one was showing that perfect being, the being that has both male and female qualities. Hence the reason that Jesus Christ is the androgynous one, and Kentaro Miura is playing off of that fact by making Usumgallu androgynous as well. I also believe he plays off of that fact in Berserk with Griffith. I've often stated that I think Griffith may be somewhat related to that female who was in Skull Knight's vision. Now, of course, I know that's very speculative on my part, but there's a lot of scenarios in Berserk where Griffith is sort of displaying female characteristics. And he even makes a joke in one chapter where he's like, "I'm acting like a girl," or something to that effect. So I believe Miura is sort of playing on that same theme here with Usumgallu. So that's all I really wanted to touch upon in terms of like the mythological, psychological aspects of the manga. Now, the only reason that this timeline has 6 chapters is because due to the untimely passing of Kentaro Miura, Studio Gakka has withdrawn their interest in Duranki and has canceled the project. So there will be no more chapters. Which is a shame because I absolutely enjoyed this manga, guys. I really loved it. It's a solid 8 out of 10 for me, which is very, very good. I would have loved to see this play out. I mean, if we would have got more chapters, this could have easily been a 9 out of 10, if not a 10 out of 10. The setup, the premise, the characters, the setting, the mythological integration, I was just loving everything about it, and it was so well done and so well crafted, and you had Miura's name behind it. It just felt like it was building up to something really impressive, especially with the way Chapter 6 ended. But tell me what you guys think of Duranki, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.